Hey, welcome to Team Superdad Live. It is great to have you back here. For those that have been before, good to see you again. For the first timers, that's cool. How did you find us, eh? How did you come across Team Superdad? Well, no doubt it's through some of the awesome content that's coming out from the Team Superdad podcast and all the great people that we have had on. And today we are back with Team Superdad Live, and sitting in the wings is Glenn Lundy, who I got introduced to through podcasting circles. Glenn is from the US, an awesome guy. We're going to talk so much about his community, about his Facebook Live show, about how he became one of the US's largest car dealership guys, and all the coaching and support he gives back to that community. Glenn is also a dad, and it's just a great. More than anything, his energy is absolutely infectious. So I can't wait for this. If you are watching, then please like and share, comment, start a watch party. We're on StreamYard, so if you do have a comment, it will come through on the chat. Say hi and ask a question. That is the JJ bot coming through. You'll see that coming through on the comments now. And I can just bring you in like that. That can be you. You can be internet famous for the afternoon. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on Glenn, and we're going to crack on with Team Superdad Live. Glenn, good day to you, sir. How are you?
I am great, man. Good day to you. It's a pleasure to be here, man. I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you very much. Obviously, the accent betrays you there. So you're not from England, and I've already introduced you.
I would say your accent betrays you there.
Well, there's definitely more of you than us. So yeah. It's quite exciting, actually. I do have increasing numbers of listeners on the podcast in the US, so that's always exciting.
Yeah, man, that's great.
And we'll come on to it, but you've got listeners all around the world with the Rise and Grind show, I'm absolutely sure. But where are you? Where are you coming from in the States?
Yeah, so I am live in live. Why did I say live? I am live in Lexington, Kentucky. Lexington, Kentucky, kind of the middle eastern part of the country.
Okay, got that. Yeah. People in Britain they don't get in their head how big America is, right? It just doesn't equate. And even with the election and stuff recently, it's like people and they just go, no, it is massive. It is massive. I had a guy on the podcast the other week, and he was joking about how he and his buddy like flew out to the States, and just for kicks they were going to drive across. And it was like they got up.
Yeah, just for kicks, huh? They're gonna drive across the U.S. That only take you about 5 days. 5 days to drive all the way across.
They were on a jaunt. I think they were two college buddies who didn't really care what was happening.
Right.
And you're a dad. You're a dad, Glenn.
I am, man. I have 7 kiddos as of right now. I've got a handful of girls and a couple of boys, and then we're getting ready to have number 8 in January. My wife is pregnant with number 8 right now.
Talk us through that, right? How does a couple? How long have you been married?
So my wife and I don't know how long we've actually been married. I think we've been married 9 years, but we've been together for 12 years.
Okay, right. And did you just when you got together, or when you decided you were going to stay together, did the subject of more than 3, let alone 8 children, come up?
No, man, it was just kind of like it was like we met. Like I was like, "Hi, I'm Glenn." She's like, "I'm Leslie," and then boom, she was pregnant like that. Like we just shook hands and she got pregnant. I don't even know how it happened. And then we were like, all right. So we did that. We realized we really liked each other a lot, and so then we decided to get married. And as soon as we decided to get married, then boom, she was pregnant with a second one. Like before we were engaged but not married yet. She got pregnant with number 2, and then we got married. And then after the second one, she was just like let's just keep going, right? And just I'm a dude, man. It's hard to say no. Like, what do you do? Like she's like, come here. I'm like, yes, ma'am. And that's kind of how it went. And after each kid, as soon as she'd had the baby, she'd be like, I want another one. I want another one. I want another one. And then finally, bro, this last one that she's pregnant with right now, I was standing in the bathroom, I was brushing my teeth, and she walks up behind me. She slams a pregnancy test down on the counter, and she says, "I'm never touching you again." And I said, "Okay, apparently we're done. Apparently the baby thing is over. So this is our last one right here." But it never was really, the only conversation we had was her whispering in my ear, like, "Follow me," and me being like, "Yes, ma'am." That was it.
You're the stud. I mean, if you were a horse, you'd be like $1 billion horse.
That's funny, man. I love that.
Both big families.
Say that again.
You both come from big families.
So she has 4 brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
She grew up really with one brother, but then her mom got married later in life and had triplets. So she's got triplet siblings that are 13 years younger than her, I guess. One of them actually works for me now, which is super, super cool. And then I have one full sister, but between marriages, that my dad was married 4 times. And so between some marriages and stuff, I have a total of 7 brothers and sisters, between some of them being like half brothers and steps and partials and all that stuff, but only one full-blooded sister.
And what's, blimey, having a family that big is expensive, right?
Oh yeah, dude. Like, just to go through the drive-through costs us like $60.
Happy Meals.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And they don't even eat 70% of it. That's the worst part.
Oh, I know. Well, the day they stop, the day your kid goes, "Daddy, Happy Meal's just not enough anymore," you're like, okay, McDonald's suddenly got super expensive.
Yeah, man. They
And so
go through a gallon of milk a day, a box of cereal a day. Like, it's crazy.
where were you on your? Well, tell us a little bit about your business and because you have created some significant success and it wasn't always that way. But to start with, let's just talk about where the business is at right now, because you're doing great, huh? And what's it all about? Tell us about some of the things you're up to.
Yeah, man. So we really have, what I have 2 kind of lanes that I work in. So I have an automotive business where I consult and work with leaders in the auto industry, helping them scale their volume, their profitability, their employee retention, and their overall dealership culture. And so we kind of have that lane, which has really grown in the last 12 months. We really started to pour into that. And so we're working with a lot of dealerships all across the country, as well as partnering with some large corporations in the auto world to help them with their training and stuff as well. So that part's super, super cool. And that's been growing a lot. And that's kind of like behind the scenes work that I do. And then as far as the other avenue of our business, we have this thing called #RiseAndGrind, which is where it started as me going live at 5:30 in the morning. Crazy, right?
Right. I was going to tease that in because Jessica, your PA, she is like, "Oh, well, he can't do that time. He does the Rise and Grind show then." And I was like, "What, at 5:30 a.m.?" She goes, "Yeah, it's the Rise and Grind show. What time do you think we do it?"
That's right, man. 5:30 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. We did episode 762 this morning. We've done 762 straight episodes, starting back in January of 2018. And so I do that. That has become its own business. So it started as a show, and then people wanted a Facebook group. So we made a Facebook group. And then people wanted like t-shirts. So we created t-shirts, and then that led to a whole clothing line. And then we do offline events, and we sell coffee, and we do coaching and consulting. And like, it's just this massive, unbelievable thing, man. It's unbelievable. I can't believe,
this is the important message for people listening. There's that expression, overnight success, but overnight success, generally behind every overnight success is some kind of serious amount of hard work. What was your motivation on, for the first 20 episodes of that, getting up at 5? Because you're not just getting up at 5:30, you're going live at 5:30.
Yeah.
Think of 20 consecutive things to talk about, let alone What is it? 560, 720?
762 episodes.
Yeah, so you got to come up with something to say every day for 776 to 762 days in a row, right? But just for people who are starting, you're on day one, planning the first 20 days. No one's watching. What was going through your mind? What was the drive behind it?
Yeah, so day one, I actually go back and I watch that video often, and there's a reason this chalkboard right here is behind me, because the first time I went live and for the early part of the show, I was in a utility closet up in my house. It was just a 6-foot long by like 3-foot wide utility closet. There was a water heater just behind the camera that nobody could see.
Baby's clothes everywhere.
Yeah, that's right. So there's a water heater, and I'm in a closet, and this chalkboard was there. You know, I put the chalkboard up to make it look like something was on the wall, so it looked somewhat like a studio. And I had the sound deadening things and so on and so forth. And so the first time I went live, it was like, it's so bright, like these lights at 5:30 a.m. This is crazy. Like, what are you doing? And I was waking up at like 5:15 to do a show at 5:30. I had no idea what I was going to talk about. I just knew that for some reason, I really wanted to create a space online that was nothing but motivation, education, and inspiration. I was so frustrated with the division and the violence and all the negativity in social media. And so instead of just complaining about it, I was like, let's create a space that's positive. At least I know. And maybe it's for me, maybe it's for others. I don't even know why. I just know instead of complaining, that doesn't do us any good, right? Like there's an ancient Chinese proverb that says, it's much better to light a candle than to curse at the dark, right? And that's really where I was at, is I was like, instead of being frustrated with negativity online, let's create a positive place. Let's just be the light, right? And so I went live, and I didn't really know what I was doing or why I was doing. I just knew that I needed some positivity in my world. And by building it kind of for me and holding myself accountable, I ended up attracting more people like me that wanted some motivation, education, inspiration, that was frustrated with what they were getting online and from social media in their own lives. And so, yeah, it just kind of started as that. There were some other motives behind it as well. I had built a name for myself in the automotive world using social media. It had been really powerful for our dealership. We had grown 800% using social media as an incredible tool to attract new talent as well as new clients and customers. And so I wanted to create that space. It was also great for some marketing. I needed to do a little more on social media. And so, yeah, I just pressed go, man. Just like, boom, go live, lights in the eyes, not really knowing. And now 762 episodes later, I've got a much better system. I wake up at 3:20 in the morning. Now is when I wake up. I go to bed at 11 p.m. and I get up at 3:20 a.m. And I go, what's that?
4 hours sleep a night. You average 4 hours sleep a night.
4 hours and 20 minutes specifically. Yeah, 4 hours and 20 minutes every night.
How do you squeeze the most amount of juice out of that much sleep? Like, because I've read stuff before about how we don't all need as much sleep as we think we do, or there's the classic, oh, we need 8 hours, and I've worked out if I go to bed at the right time, I can get I can 6.5, and I feel okay over a consistent amount of time. But I need to go to bed between 10 and 10:30. If I go to bed later than that, then it all goes out the window. But I don't know how I could function on 4 hours sleep. And I have read about getting the most out of your sleep, like getting into a deep sleep, being more relaxed, obviously the right environment. What have you learned about sleep that's allowed you to operate as effectively as you do on 4 hours sleep a night?
Yeah. So what the biggest thing that I learned about sleep is that we sleep in cycles, right? Ever since the beginning of time, we've slept in cycles. Like it didn't used to make sense to go into a coma for 8 hours before we had, security systems and locked doors. Like, it just didn't make sense. And so in our DNA, biologically, we sleep in these waves. So you've got light sleep that goes down into a deep sleep, brings you back up into a light sleep. You're fairly aware. You're not all the way awake, but you're aware of sounds and noises and things like that as a protective device. And so all humans, from what we know and understand, their sleep cycles are roughly 2 to 3 hours. Somewhere right in that area there, you're going to go from light to deep to light. And if you can figure out exactly what that cycle is and wake yourself up when you're in a light sleep, you will feel rejuvenated. You will feel like you slept 10 hours. You get all of that because your body was already close to that awake point. This is why the snooze button is like the devil.
It is the devil. It's a devil in a piece of black tech.
Yeah, man.
From China. Who invented it?
I used to know this. I used to know the answer to this. I did a show on this 3 weeks ago.
Snooze button, and then someone, Peter Piper, he was like, "Hey guys, I've got an idea. Let's put this button on." There's like folklore about the hole on toothpaste, which is how do we sell more toothpaste? And the cleaner said, make the hole bigger or something. Now I'm sure that's not exactly that, but the snooze button is classic. But these are they called circadian rhythms, something like that?
They are, yep. Mm-hmm.
Circadian rhythms. And I learned about this from I had a girlfriend, lovely woman. We were a significant relationship. She had trouble sleeping, and I was determined to fix her. There's a lesson out there: women don't like being fixed.
Right.
It's taken me 2 relationships to work that out. Right? One of them a marriage, but circadian rhythms, and that's how I know that 10 to 10:30. If I go to bed, then I'm all good. I can actually wake up between 5:30 and 6, and I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
But it's when I go to bed later than that, then I trick myself into wanting to get up later and blah blah blah. So people should really. I'll see if I can. If you're part of the Team Superdad community and you're listening to this, I will dig up some articles and info on circadian rhythms in the Team Superdad group. If you're not in the Team Superdad group and you want that, well, then you need to come and join the Team Superdad group. That's how that's going to work.
Yeah, I like that.
Exactly.
So yeah, man, but it's good. So I know I'm right at 2 hours and 10 minutes. 2 hours and 10 minutes is my, is my sleep cycle. And so I will go to bed at exactly 11 o'clock. Like at 10:59, I'm awake. At 11 o'clock, I'm asleep. At 4:20, I wake, or at 3:20, I wake up. No snooze, none of that other stuff. I get up, 3:20 a.m. That's how I rock. By knowing that cycle, like even when I travel, I don't ever have to deal with any jet lag or time zones or anything like that. You just stay in the cycle. So for example, if I'm on the west coast of the United States, which by the way, the United States is a pretty big place. I don't know if you knew that, but just so when I'm on the west side of the United States, it's 3 hours earlier than where I am here. So I might have to entertain, do dinner the night before or whatever, and still do a show at 2:30 a.m. Pacific time. I've got to do a live show.
Okay.
So a lot of times I'll stay up later and only sleep 2 hours and 10 minutes. That way I get, exactly. I get the full cycle, and then I can come deliver the show completely full of energy. So, I mean, once you know them, it's literally like a superpower, man. Like I sleep in 2 hour and 10-minute increments. If I want to sleep extra, normally I'll sleep 4 hours and 20. If I want to sleep extra, I go 6 hours and 30. If I want to sleep, even if I'm on vacation, I go 8 hours and 40. But the key is to never wake up in the middle of a sleep cycle. That's what causes grogginess, long-term grogginess. So you really get that defined, and it's a game changer for you.
And your 8 children understand this completely, yeah?
They do, actually, because that when I go to bed, that moment, and my wife understands it as well. So that window that I sleep, they know that that's all I sleep. And so like mom is responsible between 11 and 3:20, dad's off the like I'm off the clock. That's the 4 hours and 20 minutes, and I'm in a coma, bro. It's like deep sleep. You can't wake me up even if you try to. And so my wife's very respectful of that. My kids, they know if it's between those hours and there's an emergency or something, you gotta go to mom.
But there's that expression, successful people do what other people won't, right? And it's like there's that challenging yourself, putting habits and routines in place that are, you're optimizing yourself, but you've studied it to understand it, and then you're applying it consistently, like with dedication, and then you're seeing the results. And by the sounds of it as well, you're in a relationship where, because of your success, but equally because of the respect, and then wrapped all around that is the evidence that it works. You've got a system there.
Yeah, man. It's a team sport. It's a team sport, especially when we're completely outnumbered. We have to run zone defense. Like man to man defense ended a long time ago, dude. Like it's totally zone defense. So my wife and I play the team sport well. She homeschools the kids and takes care of things. Make sure to do a head count, and by the time I get home each day, there just needs to be the same amount of kids. They all need to be alive and hopefully well educated. And so mama handles that, and my responsibility is to go out and continue to grow and make an impact, and a positive impact in other people's lives, and work on building our empire from an economic standpoint, as well as our financial legacy.
Yeah. And that reference to teams, and I can see the LA Raiders logo on the seat behind you there. Do you have a sport background? Are those sport kind of metaphors important for you, or where do you get some of your team references? Have you got any icons and people there you
Yeah, I mean, I always grew up enjoying sports. I was that guy that I couldn't play football. I was too little. I was a skinny. I had no weight. I couldn't play football. Couldn't play baseball because I got hit by a baseball and it hurt. So I was like, I'm never playing this sport again.
and you're going to throw a ball at me at 80 miles an hour, and if I'm not going to hit it, I've got to catch it.
Yeah, out. 100% out. But I did play basketball and I ran track, and I was like the guy that was always second place, right? Like I was never the best at anything, but I was always really good at the things that I committed to. But I just enjoy, man, when it comes to sports, I can't help but see. I mean, we're talking about some of the most successful people in their field, right? And I'm just a student of success. I love to study success. So you can't study success without studying Kobe Bryant. You can't study success without studying, some of these sports teams and athletes that have just done amazing and incredible things. And so that's where I think a lot of it comes from, is as I study, and it's not just sports, I study other areas as well, but just as a student, I tend to pick up the language and the lingo of the most successful people, in the world. And a lot of them happen to be athletes.
Have you ever read any of Coach Woodham's? He had the Coach Wooden, his business basketball teams.
No, I haven't heard of him.
Most successful. Oh, Glenn, you're going to love this guy. He's the most
Sweet.
successful.
Send him over.
I'm going to find the book. Yeah, he's the most successful college basketball coach of all time, I think.
Coach Wooden?
Coach Wooden, American basketball coach. Yeah. So he's the all-time college basketball coach, like most successful basketball coach, college basketball coach.
Nice.
And he's got Coach Wooden's, I think they're called the 6 principles. Oh, you're going to love this guy.
Yeah, I'm going to look him up.
Yeah, and I've read Arnie's story, which I loved.
John Wooden.
John Wooden, yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, really cool guy.
What about you, man? You like sports?
Yeah, I love sport. A bit like you, I was always really good, but not the best.
Gotcha.
And so I loved playing soccer, football. Again, not that great. I came from an era where the coach would always say, make sure the first tackle counts. Like, you can't do that anymore. You can't just kick them for the first tackle. But I also literally, if you hurt them the first time, then they won't play so well for the rest of the game. I mean, it's like old school.
That's true, right? That makes sense.
But again, I guess it's about assert your authority in the situation, really. But then when I started playing rugby, I went to a secondary school, which is historically grammar school. Grammar school is different to you guys. A grammar school in America is a small school, infant school type thing, primary. But in the UK, it's a secondary school.
Gotcha.
So big rugby background. But I just love being part of the team. I loved the camaraderie. I loved the win or lose. And then because I got so much family in Chicago, where football, American football, wrestling, basketball, in the summer, I was a junior guard. So we were on big junior guard teams in Chicago, running, swimming, rowing, and just really understood from my American family in particular, the idea that just give it all, leave it all on the court. Die at the finish. I say to my kids, you die at the finish line, right? And that's the magic is at the finish line. The same thing, like running long distance, like kill them on the hill.
Right.
Because everyone slows down on the way up, but blimey, it's easy to run down a hill, so kill them on the hill.
Kill them on the hill, man. Yeah, I love that, man. You read Goggins, Can't Hurt Me?
Yes.
So I read that book in December of 2018, and right, yeah, we're in 20, yeah. So December of 2018, I read Goggins's book, and dude, I get done reading this book, and I had done pretty well in my life, like kick butt, man. Like one of the top auto dealers in the world. I'm making great money. I got the wife, the kids, all those things. And I get done reading that book, and I looked in the mirror, and I'm like, dude, you are a chump, bro. Like, you are weak sauce. I felt so small, like, come on. So I went out, and I actually went on my show, and I was like, you know what? I thought about it. I was like, what is something I hate, right? Because Goggins, like, you just got to attack that thing that you don't want to do, the thing you don't want to do the most.
And for listeners, David Goggins, Navy SEAL, ultra runner, from a tough background. Dad was, gave him whoopings for sure. And he just built himself back up and took life on. And what you're about to share, Glenn, is about Goggins hated water. And part of being a Navy SEAL is a lot of water stuff. And in his book, he just takes that on. So yeah, what did you take on?
Yeah. So I looked at it, and I'm like, you know what? I hate not swimming in water, but drinking water. I didn't drink any water, like, ever, for years. Like, it had to have flavor, something with flavor, whether it be Kool-Aid or soda or alcohol, anything but water. Please, no water. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna drink nothing but water for a year.
Come on.
And I did it. In 2019. I drank nothing but water all year long, and now I crave water. It was a huge mental and physical shift for me. But
I want to dig into that just slightly, because it goes back to that thing about people that do what other people won't have, things that other people don't have.
Yeah.
And for anyone who's remotely religious Christian, there's a thing called Lent. It's like give things up for 40 days, right? Anyone can give things up. It doesn't have to be around a Christian holiday, but I do it every year because it's a good chance to give up chocolate, coffee, like all things that I like, right? I just give them up. And I notice how tough that is, particularly for the first couple of weeks. It's like cold turkey almost. And I don't take those things in excess. That's why I give loads of them up, because if I gave one up, I'd just have more of the other one. So you were, how old were you when you did this challenge? You challenge yourself in this way.
How old was I? Is that what you said? So this was last year. So I was 41.
Okay. So you drunk a lot of artificial flavorings and sugar and everything like that. So what were the cravings like to start with? Because people do try to give it out, right? And the struggle at the beginning hurts. So let's talk about the struggle at the beginning. Let's talk about then after that the rewards you got at the end. Like, what was the struggles like at the beginning, and how did you push through them?
So the struggle at the beginning, and it was a struggle the entire time. Just so you know, all 365 days, every single day, I wanted
each day.
Yeah, like I this is all I drank, but I did not want this. I did not want it.
2 liters a day, or did you not really have did you have an
Oh, I
amount?
was drinking almost a gallon a day.
Okay, so I think
Every day.
that's 9. I think that's 9 pints for us for UK money, a gallon.
Yeah, and it was miserable. I'll be honest. Like I hated it. People were like, you probably enjoy it by now. It's been 6 months. I'm like, no, dude, I hate it. I want to go have a drink with my buddy. Like I want to have a cocktail with my steak, right? Like I hated it, but I did it. And the only reason I was able to do it was because, well, 2 reasons. One, I committed, and there's something about commitment. Commitment doesn't care how you feel. Just so everyone's clear, commitment's not like, well, if I feel okay, I'll do it. Commitment means whether you're tired, whether you're sick, whether you want to, or whether you're not, you do it, right? And so I made that commitment, and then I had people holding me accountable. I had my family holding me accountable, my show, my group, so on and so forth. And so it was really hard. The first couple of weeks I got, you're excited about it. You're like, oh yeah, that's cool. But then the cravings just hit. Like I wanted a milkshake, brother. And I wanted, all these different things. And so it was probably the mentally like one of the hardest things that I ever did. But here's what's interesting. So after doing it for a year, and like, I was like, okay, I don't have to do this anymore. I no longer have to drink water. I can drink anything I want, anytime I want. What do I end up grabbing 99% of the time now? Just water, dude. I just grab water. So now that I have the freedom to drink whatever I want, my body wants water because I've just created that behavioral pattern. And so what that taught me is that, and I already kind of knew this, but it just reaffirmed for me, we are 95%. 95% of the decisions that we make on a daily basis are not from original thought. It's from a pre-programmed behavioral pattern that stems from years and years of doing things a certain way. And so if there are aspects or areas of our lives that we really want to change or transform, we have to make a commitment to do so and recognize that we're not going to want to. We don't have to like it. You don't have to enjoy it, right? We have to recognize that. But once you break through all of that, it'll be easier to do the thing than to not do the thing. And so you can create the behavioral patterns that lead you to success versus allowing your behavioral patterns to keep you from what you want.
Yeah. And it's how unconscious people are to that has our lives stay boring or stay on the lowdown. They stay unfulfilling, slightly gray if you were going to give it a color.
Sure.
People wonder, how can I make my life better? How can I achieve the things that I want to achieve? It's not fair. I haven't got this, I haven't got that. But it's the little things over time. Darren Hardy's book, just about compound leverage, just doing the little things consistently over time. Atomic Habits, James Clear, habit stacking, doing the same thing over and over again will take you to a place where you didn't think you could get to. And it's the classic, how do you eat an elephant? It's like
right.
So everyone knows these things, but few people do them. It's just stunning. And physically, what was the transformation there? How did it leave you feeling, or was there any massive gains to your physical health from it?
No, it was, because I still ate sweets. So I wasn't doing it for dietary reasons, So I wasn't doing it for really physical reasons. So not much of a transformation there. It was all mental for me. I wanted to win, I wanted to win. And Goggins, I appreciate him sparking that in me, because I really thought I was winning. And then I realized there's so much more. What's funny is in that same year, I got an opportunity to, so I do some speaking events here and there, and I got an opportunity to speak on stage with Eric Thomas, E.T.
Yeah.
the hip hop preacher.
Yeah, I love
Right?
his podcast. Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Go if you're listening, not that we want to, obviously start with mine or Glenn's podcast, but another good podcast is ET and his crew just hanging out and holding you all to account, basically. Yeah. So you were on stage with ET.
Yeah, so I got to share the stage with ET, and I had listened to his stuff for years and years and years, and so I got to share stage. We were at this event called Hustle and Grind Con, and Eric Thomas was talking, and he said, "You think you're doing good because you're feeding your family?" You know how he gets? Come on! He gets all pumped up. He's like, "You think you're doing good because you're feeding your family? You're supposed to feed your family. That ain't doing good. You know when you're doing good when you can feed 100 families, right?" And I was like, "Dang, he's got a point, man. I thought I was doing good. I was making more money than 99% of Americans. I had the white picket fence, my kids, everybody's cool, right? Like my bills are paid and all of those things. And I was hanging my hat on that. But Eric made me realize, like, that's not where it's at, man. Like, this life is all about making an impact in other people's lives. And we have to position ourselves to be able to make as big of an impact or allow the universe to use us in whatever way it wants to use us. But, and we don't know what that is. And for some people, you make a massive impact through a small volume of people, right? Like not everyone's going to have big stages and big audiences and so on and so forth. But ultimately we have to cultivate ourselves to be in a position to make an impact. And so when Eric was like, "Dude, you're doing good when you can impact 100 families, you can feed 100 families every night versus just one," I was like, dude, there are so many more levels of this game, right? And just when I thought I was kind of at the top, I realized I barely scratched the surface. We got so far to go. And so that was a fun year for me. It's been transformative ever since. And I continue to, anytime I start to settle into comfort, whether it's comfort in my relationship with my wife, whether it's comfort in my, taking for granted my kids, whether it's comfort financially, any of those things. As soon as I start to notice I'm getting comfortable, that's when I know, like, whoa, bro, we gotta turn things up a notch. Things are supposed to be challenging. They're supposed to be a little uncomfortable. You're supposed to be pushing and growing, right? Because if you're not growing, you're dying. And I don't want to spend this life dying. I want to spend this life growing. So that was a fun year for me.
Yeah, but you've come all the way, haven't you? Your backstory goes right back to the toughest of times.
Oh yeah, man. I've definitely lived 2 seasons in my life, So I had one season I call my 2D life, where if it looked good and it felt good, the answer was yes. And that would included drugs and drinking and chasing women and all of those.
Homeless at one point, right?
What's that?
Did that leave you virtually homeless at one point?
Yeah, it did. As I continued to run down that road, I burned a lot of bridges. I had a very Darwinistic mindset, survival of the fittest. If I could get over on you, I'd get over on you. Like I was just a very selfish human being, and that led me to burn bridge after bridge. I lived in city after city, made mistake after mistake until I landed in San Diego and had no one to call and nowhere to go, and was homeless on the beaches of San Diego for a little while. And that homelessness, led me to hopelessness. Hopelessness led me to a deep depression. That depression led me to an attempt, or thoughts of suicide, which then I attempted to take my own life in the Pacific Ocean. All of those things. And through that, I was able to thankfully get awareness of our ability to guide our lives in both the positive and the negative. So right after I attempted to take my own life, I remember laying there on the beaches, looking up at the stars and realizing how big the universe was. And I had this moment, Johnny, where I was like, wait a minute, Glenn, you've lived in all these different cities. You've been around all these different people, but yet you keep getting the same result. Like, you can't keep blaming the people. You can't blame the city. You can't. At some point, you got to look at the mirror and go,
Who's every one of these pictures?
yeah, there's one consistent guy, well, wait,
Where's Wally?
what do they say? Sherlock Holmes. It was a Sherlock Holmes moment for me, right? And once I realized it was me that was the catalyst of all things negative in my life, then I instantly was like, okay, wait a minute. If I'm the catalyst of all things negative, then does that mean I can be the catalyst of all things positive? Right? Like, it only makes sense. If I can create every negative thing, then maybe I can create every positive thing. And so that
just channeled in a different direction.
Yeah, that's right. Just channel. Exactly. 100%. And so that led me to a journey of self, because I was like, okay, well, if I have this intrinsic ability to create what happens around me, then I should learn more about who I am. And so I started studying self. And in studying self, I learned of the spiritual aspect to us, which opened me to what I now call my 3D life, right? Before it was just mind, body, then it became mind, body, spirit. And when I added the spiritual element, which I studied all types of different religions and different doctrines and spiritual understanding. And once I realized there was that third element that not only gives us the ability to create what we want in our lives, but also a responsibility to do it in a positive way that doesn't reduce anyone else's. Like, once I got that, then it was like, okay, this is an extra piece. So I quit burning bridges. I quit taking advantage of people. I quit lying, cheating, stealing. I quit doing those things that were harming others, and began this kind of journey of a more holistic approach of how can, instead of dividing people, how can I bring people together, and how can we empower people? And I made plenty of mistakes along the way. I wish I could say it was just like that, but I'm pretty stubborn, so it took me a while to get it around. But that's where it all started, was in that moment to get me to where I am now.
And I think these conversations are a huge contribution to me. Thank you. And I get to put it all together like a jigsaw in my own mind, and hopefully that is of value to the Team Superdad community and anyone listening to the podcast. But it really occurs to me, because this week I've had a tough week. Someone asked me to do them a favor and put me in contact with a guy that had been asking him for help. So the guy says, I'm not a dad. I can't relate to this person. Can you help him? So turns out he's alcoholic. He's homeless. He's talking about taking his life. Like, it's a very heavy thing to be dealing with. And I've pushed him in the right direction. And I'm not trained to give him that kind of help. I'm a good guy. I'm here to help him. And I'm also not taking his garbage either.
Sure.
But what I can hear from what you've just shared, and having these very sort of heavy conversations with this guy this week, what it takes to bring yourself up off the streets to stable, to in a relationship, to and a baby, like, that's a monumental jump. The amount of energy required to go from A to B to get there. But there's so many people who are doing okay look at what it would take to be successful. Like, oh, I want a bigger house. I want to be a millionaire. I want to have more holidays or whatever. And they are kind of stopped by the idea that that's too big a jump as well.
Mm.
But what they need to realize, like, well, would you make that jump if you were homeless? Like, where would you stop at? How much energy would you put in to get off the streets to being stable? Okay, well, now you want to go from being stable to, like you said, not just feeding your family, but well, I guess for most people it is more holidays, bigger house, nicer car, right? So we'll just keep it at that for the time being. But then straight after that comes, you can be more giving in the world and helping others. But that people fail to realize that these are the same jumps, the same energy level, whatever stage we're at in life, and it's worth it. Let me ask you this: has it become easier the more you've been around good people? You know, like people that you're learning from, people that are not just holding you to account, but saying, "Oh, well, I wouldn't have gone left there; I'd have gone right there." Like, has it become easier for you now that you've built a stronger set of mentors and support around you?
Yes and no. Accountability is huge, and being around the right people is everything. Your network is your net worth is a very, very, very true statement. What's interesting, though, I was actually thinking about this a little earlier today, so it's kind of funny that you brought up that question. The more success that we've had, as a company, as a family, so on and so forth, and the relationships that we've been able to build and develop through that, like it gets. I don't want to say it gets harder, but it's another level, dude. Like there's you like hike up this mountain, right? And then you get to the top of the mountain and you take a deep breath and then you look over and there's another peak that's so much higher, and you're just like, holy smokes, dude, I didn't realize that existed, and so then you wake up 30 minutes earlier and you grind even harder to get to that pinnacle. And when you get to the top of that pinnacle, you realize, holy smokes, there's another level. My friend Grant Cardone talks about this. He's got his jet, and he's worth almost $1 billion now, and he's got a supermodel wife that's 15 years younger than him, and beautiful kids and all these things. But he talks about, like, even at his level, there's always a bigger jet, man. There's always a bigger jet. And so it's interesting how I see people that are not happy, and it sucks that sometimes as humans, sometimes we have to hit like rock bottom to feel it, like what you were just referring to. Like, why, sometimes we have to get all the way to the bottom. But we see people that are not happy with where they are at in life financially or whatever, and yet and they'll sleep more, they'll work less. But then you see people that are super high level that are making millions and millions, tens of millions of dollars. Dude, they're beasts, they're maniacs. They like it's like we have this vision. Like I remember when I was making $55,000 a year, at 23 years old or something, thinking that was all the money. And I remember thinking, if I could get to like 100,000 a year, man, I could like retire in a couple of years. I could take a vacation. Like all I was ever thinking about is not working. Now, as I get more and more, I just want to work more. I'm like, come on, let's go grab another project. Let's invest in this. Let's figure this out. Like, let's wake up earlier. Let's stay up later. Let's pour more into this. It gets more exciting, and you want to work more. And so as far as getting easier, it's easier to find opportunities and get guidance, but it's harder because there's something that shifts in you and you start to see the world differently, and you realize, dude, I got to get my freaking butt into gear because there's a whole lot out there that I haven't tapped into yet,
Yeah. And that comes from action. There's a action. I got a picture I made for myself. It says action creates abundance.
Yeah. Amen to that. I love that.
Yeah. And that's what we've touched on that in a couple of different ways through this conversation, through the water, through the sport references, to picking ourselves up off the floor and getting ourselves back to different stages of life. There's an action, there's a positive action, that going to bed at a particular time, getting up at a particular time, doing 762 consecutive live streams. Oh my gosh. These are pieces of muscle that you worked on to create your success. And so where's it all headed, Glenn? You know, where's the big vision for you? I mean, it's sorry, let somebody else is the Rise and Grind. It's a show, but it's also a community. Yeah, that's something that's going on. It's people can get involved around the world. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's become a movement, and where does it ultimately go? I mean, I don't know. Like, when we started it, I never expected it to be here. So I can't even predict. It goes wherever people ask me to take it is where I take it. That's been our number one success tip for what we've been able to create, is we've just listened to our audience. That's it. So at first it was just a show. Then they said they wanted a group. So we created a group. Then they said they wanted shirts. We created shirts. Then they said they wanted events. We created events. Then they said they wanted a planner. We created a planner. Then they said they wanted coffee. We created coffee. Then they said they wanted like a next level mastermind. We created a next level mastermind. I don't try to, I guess what I'm saying is Rise and Grind is not for me. And I know a lot of entrepreneurs that go into business or they go into podcasting because they want to win. And so that's why they quit after 20 episodes when they don't have any audience, right? Or they quit when it gets frustrating. They quit when they get tired. Because it's about them. And Rise and Grind has never been about me. It'll never be about me. It is about the impact that we're making, and people feel that. They know it's authentic. They support it. They show up every day. We raise funds. We help battle human sex trafficking. We help people battle cancer. Like, we're doing big things that people can really stand behind. And so that would be my biggest tip, man, is you're 100% right, Johnny. It's all about systems, like taking action, consistent systems that push you and grow you and stretch you, and ultimately doing it for the greater good of someone else's benefit, not your own. Those are the things that will keep you in the game for the long haul.
And I guess that attracts people. There's like a more open space because they're stepping into the space rather than stepping into you. They're stepping into the values rather than stepping into Glenn.
100%.
Amazing.
We look at Rise and Grind now. Like, when I talk to my team over here, I now have a team, which is kind of cool. But when I would talk with my team, man, we talk about Nike. We talk about how Nike doesn't sell shoes, just in case you didn't know that. They sell a lifestyle, man. You'll never see an advertisement by Nike that says, go buy this shoe 20% off. You'll never see it. The retailer might have 20% off of their shoes, but Nike is not going to run an ad. Instead, you're going to see a soccer player running through the mud, getting, kicking by this guy, kicking by that guy or girl, and sliding through the mud with sweat on his face. And it's going to say, just do it. And you watch that and you're like, dang, I want some of that. Right. And that's why you buy the gear. They don't sell t-shirts. They don't sell shoes. They sell a lifestyle, a feeling, an emotion. And that's what we're doing with Rise and Grind, is we're creating, it's a lifestyle that people dive into, that focuses on, the 7 main areas of our lives that are super important. Our faith, our fitness, our family, our friends, how we feel about ourselves, our careers, and our finances, and just helping people level up in all of those areas. And that's what we're building. So where does that take us? I don't know. Maybe one day, we're we're a global brand running side by side with Nike. I don't know. I know that I'll keep showing up though. As long as they show up, I'll be here.
I think that's the most important thing, is that those kind of values, with the internet the way it is today, and with social media, and with the proliferation of information and the access to people, is that whilst media is controlled by 6 companies alone, we, you and I and every other podcaster and person who's created a t-shirt shop, and if we can pull together, if because actually we've just spoken today, you've got the 7 values, I've got the F5, like, and there's, because we all know that that's the right, we all know that that's what's right. We all know that's what we want to see reflected back on us from the people that we can create in our community. And if that then gets passed on to their children and to the other kids in the class, then we can hopefully, whether it is of a religious background or whether it is a values-based background,
Right.
Hopefully start to push back and be more of a world community and a group of people who are doing good things for each other.
I agree, man. 1,000,000%.
Yeah. Wow. And so, we're getting towards the hour, which I like to keep it but below there. This has just been brilliant. When you have an interesting person on, there's never enough time to talk about everything.
Sure.
What about the video though? With the
Hey, I think we're on the schedule like 3 times, so I could always just come back.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. If you're wondering what we're laughing about, I'll do a screenshot of my Google Calendar and you'll understand. But just quickly, the video of you roller skating across the stage, is that a normal thing at your events, or was that just a funny thing that happened?
Yeah, man. That was an interesting thing. Thanks, man. I love skating. I grew up skating with my dad, and all my kids skate. And like for that particular event, I'm really strange, Johnny. Like I'm an empath, right? So I just absorb feelings and energy, and then I just act on that. And so like my show, for example, I write my show every morning right before I deliver it. Like I write it, it takes me 30 minutes to write it, and then I show up in the studio and I build it and I deliver it that day. It's never pre-mapped out, anything like that. I always write it that day. But for that particular event, I went down there with one speaking thing in mind that I was gonna do. And then once I got down there and I felt the energy and the vibe and the people and so on and so forth, I had this like, I was like, dude, I need my skates. And so I called my wife and she packaged them up, and like she had to pay like $180 to overnight these skates down to me. And then she overnights them down, but they went to like some little tiny weird post office and they got stuck and we had to track them down. But long story short is I got the skates and delivered. And a lot of people have actually referred to that particular presentation that I gave, which makes me think that once we get back to doing live events, we might have to bring those suckers back out for another presentation or two.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant. Well, we'll do it. We'll bring a Team Super Dad crew. Like we'll come. We'll do a weekend away. We'll come and all join you at the Rise and Grind event when we're back face to face, back live.
That would be amazing. I would absolutely love that.
It really would. And so, as always, people want to find out where they can connect up with you or be part of Rise and Grind. Where are some of the channels and socials they can come and get more of what you've got to offer, Glenn?
Yeah. So if you want to learn more about, just kind of everything I do, you can go to glennlundy.com. That's kind of the umbrella website that connects you to, you can go down the Rise and Grind channel, the automotive channel. You can see other presentations, so on and so forth. That also links to all our social media handles from there. So it's really, really the easiest thing to do is just head to glennlundy.com and we'll connect there. And then hopefully I'll see you soon. Be great.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Absolutely brilliant. Well, it was such a pleasure to do this, to get this live, to share it on the podcast. I'll say goodbye, but hold tight. We'll say goodbye between us on the other side. Team Superdad, friends, family, members all around the world, it's been a real pleasure to have you with us on this show. Glenn, you've been an absolutely brilliant guest. Such a pleasure to hear your story, all the good stuff, the tricky stuff, and most importantly, the little pieces of skill and focus and dedication that's taken you to where you've got to today. What one man can, every man can. And I really want people to realize that that's what's possible for us all. Awesome. Thanks,
Yeah,
Glenn.
man, you're spot on. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this. This has been great.
Cheers. Take care, everyone. Bye.